I'm a believer that this team's going to win the national championship. Something stupid is coming out of his mouth. I don't know. Maybe it's just my age. He needs his vote pulled immediately. And of course, yes, a season like this has to have a name. Let's talk about something good about Justin Freck. What are you doing? Season of dreams. Ohio State, my guys, are either the best or the second best program in the history of college football. This guy is a bonehead. They love him. I question your judgment as an adult. I really do. I was a total hater. I know that for a fact, and I just don't get it. Get us back our sleeves and say, bring me that. That's the one I want. And welcome into Juckonbucks on a Tuesday. Tomorrow is Wednesday, naturally, and Wednesday is the beginning of the early signing period. The signing period goes Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and we will get names put on paper for the class of 2025. This class is a class I've followed like no other. And since I've started the show, thanks to you guys, I have been able to gain access in ways I never would have been able before. I've had a lot of these guys on here, talked to several of these recruits throughout the process to get information and updates and things like that. Film cut-ups, camps, like all that stuff I absolutely love. Networked with guys in the recruiting industry, things I never thought I'd be involved with, and I love it. And I've had so much fun doing it. And like, this is the crescendo. It's all for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Now, obviously, since the game, we collectively have had a slightly different feel than we thought we would have, right? Things have been different. We had a post-game show that was very negative. Yesterday's show was very negative. Today, my buddy Ron James joins me from Best Damn Media in the Morning Roast. He's on every morning at 8, and he and I have not spoken since the game. We'll talk about the game. We'll talk about the future of the program and all that stuff. But tomorrow, I got to turn the page. I got to move on to positivity, to good feelings and good vibes, because I can't just sit here and wallow in negativity. I can't do it. I won't be able to do the show. I won't be able to keep it up. And it is certainly a reason to be positive. And somebody's going to say in the comments, who cares if the coach leaves, they're all going to be gone. I can't look at it like that. Tomorrow, it is turn the page day here at Juckonbucks. Whatever happens is above our pay grades, and we have no control over it. What we do know is that Tuesday night, we are going to get rankings, and we're going to have maybe a little bit better of a feel of what's going to happen in the postseason. Now, in the postseason, it's looking like all the projections that we are going to have a home playoff game in the shoe. The very first time home playoff games have ever existed, there are 12 teams in this playoff. Only 4 of those 12 are getting a home game, and Ohio State is going to get lucky enough to be in one of those slots, I think, to get a home game. That's awesome. And if it goes like it's projected, we're talking about a home game against Tennessee, a Big Ten SEC home game. And those Tennessee folks run their mouths a lot. They think that their program is better than ours. They think their history is better than ours. To have them come up in the shoe, it would be an amazing experience, an amazing game. And I'm going to move towards that that's what I'm focused on. It's time to have some fun and enjoy the football. I'm sick of the negativity, though. You know, like I said, Ron and I are going to have a discussion here, and it's probably going to dive back into that. But that's it for me. Like, I've got to move on. Class of 2025 and those guys in that class, more important to me than pissing and moaning about the game and about decisions that I don't agree with and things like that. So that's that for that. And I appreciate you guys so much. Let's get Ron on here with us and see where that goes. And joining me now, my buddy Ron James from the Best Damn Media in the Morning Roast. Ronnie, what's going on, buddy?
Nothing much, Chuck. Appreciate you having me.
I mean, you've been on the post-game show with me 100 times. I think this is the first time that we've done the regular Monday through Friday Juckonbucks. So happy to have you, my man. Obviously, a rough couple of days for us, and it all started with us talking crap last week about storming the field. Should we not storm the field? Would it be Would it be making us look bad if we stormed the field against a team that was so horrible? That horrible team beat us.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. If we want to talk storm fielding, we can jump right to next season. We should run on the field. We're losers. My big argument was winners don't run on the field. You should expect to win. I'm never going to expect to win this game again.
Just embarrassing stuff, man. 10 points. I was talking to Dylan all week. Like, how are they going to get to 24 points? They got to get to 24 to beat us. And I just can't see any way they can. But when we look at the game, it had, I'm a kid of the 90s. It had all the markers. Everything was there, but I never felt any nerves going into the game. There was nothing about me that was nervous at all. And part of me was bothered that I wasn't nervous, but I couldn't manufacture it. It just wouldn't come. Boy, I sat down for that post-game show, gave myself about an hour to decompress, a half an hour, and it was just gut punch, man. And I still feel it today, but I'm trying to turn it around. I'm trying to get into a little more positive mind frame because we do got signing day. We got the playoffs. I'm just not sure the people that listen to this show, the people listening to your show, like, when do we move on? When do we move forward? I don't know.
Yeah, I sent text. You were having trouble manufacturing fear for this game, and I text Chris the night before, and I said, I am so anxious about this game, not because I feel like this team could possibly lose, but just because I'm so intimately aware of how miserable my life becomes once this team loses to them. Because every day I wake up at 8 a.m. to do a show, there are 50 to 100 Buckeye fans miserable in the chat. Every time I go on the timeline, there's Michigan fans celebrating. There's Buckeye fans with horrible ideas of how to fix the team, and it's inescapable. It's like I see craziness everywhere I go once this team loses to that team up north. And while I knew that it would be a long shot, you look at the Vegas odds going into that game, I'm just like, I was really confident going into all three games previous. So I feel like I've just been learning from losing this game in the public eye 3 years in a row that I didn't have to manufacture any fear. I lived in the fear of having gone through this 3 years in a row. And I said on the post game with Chris Drew, I said we should have titled this Deja Vu, because there were so many points during that game where I'm like, I've seen this before. The Khalil Mullings run, I felt like a Vietnam War vet having flashbacks because it was like, is that Hassan Haskins or Donovan Edwards? Oh, no, it's another chapter of hell in this rivalry. And then you talk about the missed field goals. We've been talking about them.
Oh, my gosh, dude.
For years now. And I'm like, I've seen this movie a million times. I mean, we did the live reaction where we were streaming the entire game. And I said a million times in the microphone, I've seen this movie before, and it just felt all too familiar.
Anybody who has watched the post-game show when you've come on to join me has seen you. I think it's every time we've had a bad kicking game, you just happen to have been on that time. And this is Ron's thing, man. He cannot stand it. Every time I see a Buckeye miss field goal, I think of him immediately. And when this happened, I was thinking of you, buddy. Like, here we go again. Inside the 40. 2 missed field goals, and every year against this team, it's special teams blunders. Every year against this team. But it wasn't just that as far as special teams blunders. We had the Trey missed fields one inside the 5 or right around the 5. Caleb even had one not so hot. Unbelievable, man. And this is Ryan Day's push this year, remember. He was going to have the special teams up and running, looking fantastic. When we needed it most, it looked like Parker Fleming was back there running it again.
And it's funny that you should say that. Parker Fleming's gone, yet it still looks the same. What is the common denominator? We have gotten rid of everybody. We've blamed, pointed the finger at everybody. There has been an excuse for Ryan Day every single time he loses. It's the refs against Clemson. It's COVID in the injury to Trey Sermon against Alabama. It's Kyle McCord. It's Kerry Combs. It's Jim Knowles. It's Perry Eliano. It's the fact that we don't have a linebackers coach. It's the fact that we do have a special teams coordinator. It's the kicker. It's the punter. But the one common denominator in all of these losses, Ryan Day. Ryan Day. And that's why, I mean, we talk about moving on, but I'm going to delve into the Ryan Day tenure at Ohio State. And I don't believe Ryan Day is going anywhere. But what in Ryan Day's time at Ohio State makes you think anything is going to change? And even if it does, what makes you think that's the actual problem? Because we've been told so many things are the problem. So many things have changed, yet it's still so the same. Why is that?
So interesting you bring that up in that way. I've got this comment that I loaded a few comments here that I wanted to respond to today. And I'm just going to pull this one up now since you said that. JJQ8GP says, I disagree. And this is in regards to Ryan Day should be let go. I disagree. I think we need a new strength and conditioning coach, a new defensive line coach, a new special teams coach, and a better offensive line coach.
Oh, we've already changed the offensive line coach now once. And trying to remember, Juck, who hires that person? I believe it's Ryan Day, and he went out and hired the best man in his wedding. So where's the accountability? I put out a poll on Twitter today and asked the question, Ryan Day always has a scapegoat. Who is it going to be this year? And it's going to be a tough one for him because he's going to have to pick between two of his buddies, his mentor in Chip Kelly or Justin Fry. And I'm not quite sure which one he's going to go for, but he always has a scapegoat. And I'm not sure which one it's going to be.
It's interesting. Like you, I don't think Ryan Day is going anywhere at the end of this year. I mean, I feel pretty strongly about that, but I did hear that he is going to be forced to restructure his staff. So it is interesting to think, who might that be? Obviously, you've got the buddy system going on. You've got Keenan, you've got Justin Fry, you've got Chip Kelly. Could
There's
it be
an
Larry
account
Johnson?
on Twitter that calls them cousin hires?
Yeah. I mean, it's a good way to put it, really. But I think that's what Zach calls the Clemson hires, Dabo's cousins, which is pretty funny, man. But it is a similar deal.
I did want to lobby for one coach, if he is going to be restructuring his staff, a must get. I think would be a huge hire for the Buckeyes. And that's Ron James as the kicking specialist. And if they don't make that hire, I don't know what Ryan Day's doing. If he wants to win a national championship, they'd get me on the staff and help them find a kicker.
It doesn't seem like it should be so difficult, man. It really does not seem like it should be so difficult.
If only Ohio State had a soccer team where someone just made a PK in a high-pressure moment to send them to the quarterfinals in the NCAA playoffs. If only.
Sub 40-yarders, dude. That's what kills me, man. We're talking a 34 to 38-yarder. But that game was just sickening. And you had the fight afterwards, the pepper spray. It's going to go down into, this game's lore. The montage we see before all the big games every year coming up, like that was a historic moment right there. Pretty interesting. The first flag that they did that in 2022, they put in a little a glass like behind glass and with trophies and stuff outside of Harbaugh's office. It was a big deal to them to plant that flag. I was very angry that they were allowed to do that the 2022 team didn't make sure that didn't happen. The 2024 team did make sure that didn't happen. I was proud of them. How'd you feel?
I was so proud. I mean, there's Michigan fans posting clips of us celebrating the fight at the end of the game and calling us losers. I'm like, call it whatever you want. Like, I really don't care. I loved every second of it. And the fact that if they would have let that happen, you would have heard the same arguments that you heard in 22. How dare they let them plant that flag? How dare you let Baker Mayfield plant that flag, put the duck on the block out? It's constantly people disrespecting the field. And like, I get that, play between the lines, but at some point you have to have pride in the university, that field, and the block O that you wear. And to let people come in and continue to desecrate the stadium, I don't care how ugly it looks, how uncomfortable it makes you. Go out there and fight. And it didn't look like the Buckeyes were winning too many of those fights. But the fact that they went out there and put it on the line again after and didn't let them disrespect the field, I applauded that, and people could call it loser. I'm a sore loser. I don't care. And the fact that they wanted to fight more after the game, I like that, because one of the things we've been saying about this team is that they have no fight. And the fact that we did see it, I mean, it did go against the narrative of, okay, well, they just lay down and just accept things. And the fact that they didn't accept that, it made me proud. I know people have a lot of criticism for Jack Sawyer and this 2021 class. I don't care what anyone says, 4 losses, no Big Ten championships. Jack Sawyer, when you say that name, I will remember a Columbus kid that embodies what it means to be a Buckeye. Win or loss, this guy represents the university, the Blocko, the Scarlet and Gray, knows what this rivalry means. When you see the passion in his voice when he says, I'm not going to let them plant that flag again, he's not saying that because he's upset that he lost the game. He's born and raised in this rivalry and knows what it means to every person in the state of Ohio and every person that roots for this team and what that looks like and how they feel after this team loses. It's someone that understands this rivalry. And for so many years, it feels like we've been asking the question, does anyone in that facility understand this rivalry? And I think Jack Sawyer showed, despite the loss, that there are people in there that do get it, and it means the world to them. And I feel like Jack Sawyer, when he ripped down that flag, he's doing that for Buckeye Nation, and I feel like Buckeye Nation appreciated it.
Hell yes. Perfectly said, bro. I mean, we're talking about a guy who he came in, obviously, much ballyhooed recruit. He was supposed to be something that maybe he was never, ever going to be live up to. And, he's never been that, but he's always busted his ass hard as he can, loves being a Buckeye. And I was really, really proud of him. You could hear it in his voice. His voice was quivering. Like, we're not going to let him do that. And, no, I was extremely proud of him, man. He'll always be a great Buckeye to me. I feel sick that interception that he made, when he made that pick, I'm like, wow, this is going to be so great. Jack gets his moment in this game to win his first pair of pants. I mean, it looked to me like that was it, man. We were gonna go seal that puppy up when he got that pick. Obviously, that's not the way it went down. When we look at Ryan Day on the sidelines at the end of that game, he's getting criticized for maybe the fight and his reaction to that as well. It just felt like from, I don't know, maybe 2 minutes left in the game and mismanaging some timeouts at the end there, all the way through the time they went, all the way through the press conference, really. He was just absolutely glazed over his face, just a dazed look in his eyes. I can't believe this guy's lost 4 in a row. I'm sure that's what he was thinking as well. But it feels so much to me this year that he did it to himself. And I want to play this little montage, Ron.
They didn't want to win.
Ryan Day is an emotional coach who has a giant chip on his shoulder. And instead of just winning a football game and going to Indianapolis for a chance to get revenge against Oregon, he decided it was more important to try to prove a point. Because
let's run it once. Let's not throw it to our wideouts on second down. And then let's run it on 3rd and 10.
He was trying to prove how tough Ohio State was.
Because
I don't know.
I've always said Ryan Day's fine, whatever. It was just a bad stretch. But now I'm looking at it like, this is a real problem. This is not going away.
Cockiness, the third base comment, most guys that get those jobs, Jim Harbaugh, to get the Michigan job, had to coach at San Diego, Stanford, and then win at the 49ers. This guy had never been a head coach, and he got the job and handed to him by one of the greatest coaches of his era.
watched as they called plays that had Quinshon Judkins getting to the perimeter and picking up 10, 15, 10 yards, and then decided, I'm not doing that anymore. That has been way too effective. I'm going to go back to not getting anything between the tackles. I'm not even going to bother throwing the ball to Jeremiah Smith.
Expect for the biggest upset in the rivalry since 1996 and all the way back to 1969.
But he tried to get into a heavyweight fight with the one thing Michigan can do, and Chip deserves blame too, run it up the middle. It's like they're two good players with the defensive tackles.
That was the worst team Ohio State has lost to during his leadership period. Yes, like period. Right. Like not just Michigan games. Like that team was not a very good team.
Check. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say so many spot on points. I don't even know where to start.
Yeah. I'd like to some people accuse me too much of this, listening to the national narrative and what they think of Ohio State and being too sensitive about it. But the thing is, Ron, and why I get so mad is he just reset the clock for us to get one more year of this nonstop. And he did it in a way that almost feels selfish because he wanted to get it done that way. He wanted to show that he was tough. It was very apparent. There were things that were working that were effective. They couldn't touch JJ. It just felt so selfish to try to do it that way, to end that narrative that he's soft. The same thing that bothered him at Notre Dame with the Lou Holtz comment, like the same thing. He's bothered by that accusation that he is soft, that his team's soft, and he wanted to win it physical. And we're sitting here with a 4th straight loss because of that.
We did a call-in show after the game on Sunday, and we probably had some of our best calls that we've ever had on that show. And someone made the comment, and I have to give them credit for it. They compared Jim Harbaugh to Karl Rove because he said he convinced Ryan Day that his greatest strength was a weakness. And he's convinced Ryan Day that throwing the ball makes him weak. And he's turned him into this, I have to run between the tackles to prove a point. And he's continuing to lose that battle. And he lost the game because of his pride. Simple as that.
The offensive line was not so hot, man. They were not so hot that day. Will Howard, some people say that maybe he was arguing with the doctors about getting his helmet back. Seems like he won that argument. Obviously, he won that argument if that really happened. My buddy Dylan Davis, who comes on, said that he saw him wobble a little bit after a play when he had just come back in. There's a video of that. I played it yesterday, and it does look, you can't see it totally because you can't see his legs. Do you think that there's a chance he was concussed and they let him back in the game?
It's a possibility. And when you look at the stats in the second half, you have to question, was something off or was Will completely rattled? And if he was concussed and they put him back in the game, I feel like that's one of the probably the most egregious mistake of Saturday's game and a fireable offense, whether it's the doctors or the coaching staff that allowed a concussed player to go back in the game, especially with that much on the line. And then they run him on the first play. It's just mind-blowing. And to see the way he struggled, it leaves the Buckeyes searching for answers. But then as you continue to spiral down that path, I've found myself going down that path and I have to pump the brakes, and I'm just like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it again. There are no mistakes. There are no excuses left for Ryan Day. There are no more scapegoats. At the end of the day, when Michigan fans say we stink or we can't win this game or they talk stuff, what do you have left to say at this point? I don't have a defense for my coach. I need to look inward at my program, like in Michigan and what's going on up there, who they're recruiting, who their boosters are, what Dave Portnoy is saying should be the least of Buckeye fans' concerns because they have systemic issues in that program.
I'm not anymore. I'm not trying to push back. There's nothing I can say. I'm obviously embarrassed when we look at coming into this season. So at the end of last year, the Missouri game, I was so furious. And when we saw the changes in the offseason, I said to myself, all right, I'm going to give 2 years of buy-in on this coach before, because he's made some changes. And I feel like he deserves 2 years of buy-in. And I felt that way all year until we started seeing how bad this Michigan team was. I mean, that was a layup. That was a total layup. And losing that game in that way, so stubborn, I don't know where you stand. We haven't talked yet. I'm ready for this entire regime to be wiped out and to hit the reset button on the program. That's where I stand with it.
I couldn't agree more. And it's disappointing to say I don't think it's going to happen. While I think a complete reset is necessary, we just talked about how Ryan Day always has a scapegoats. It's been Kerry Combs. It's been Kyle McCord. It's been everybody but Ryan Day. But the one consistent thing has been Ryan Day. And we asked the question earlier, what leads you to believe that anything's going to change. How much more? I mean, we saw the comment. The guy said we just need to change 5 coaches. I'm over here like, how about just one? Like, I think all of those names that you named aren't the one that needs to go, but we know the situation. And I've said it. People have said that I am a maniac. I've said it on Buckeye Roast. I've said it on Bleacher Report. I've said it in Spaces. I've said it on the timeline. Ohio State is not going to allow Ross Bjork in the 5th month of his tenure as athletic director hire the most expensive state employee in the state of Ohio. It's not going to happen. The politics of the university, the politics of the state budget, the politics of I just got this job and the guy before me lasted 20 plus years with 2 scandals and fired 2 Hall of Fame coaches before they got rid of him. I got a job for 20 years if I don't F this up. I'm not making this decision 5 years into my career and buckling myself into the first hire at Ohio State, because I promise you, you could hire as many bad basketball coaches as you want at Ohio State. You mess up this next hire, Ross Bjork, I promise you, you will be out of here with them. So if I'm Ross Bjork, I'm not rushing to fire him. If I'm Ohio State, I'm not rushing to let Ross Bjork make this decision. And it felt like when Gene Smith decided to retire, they might as well have put a 2-year extension in ink for Ryan Day, and because he wasn't going anywhere. There's no way they were letting an athletic director that green, that new on the job, make one of the largest decisions in the state of Ohio. It's not going to happen.
It's the same thing I said all offseason. I said it all offseason, but I didn't want Ryan Day fired. This was my pushback to the argument of me saying I got 2 years of buy-in and other people saying to me, if he loses the game this year, he's got to go. And I'm saying he's not going anywhere for exactly what you just said. And now here I am, having changed my mind, wanting a whole new regime change. And then there's part of me saying, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe they will let him do it. But you're right. They're not doing this now. And we haven't even talked about all the monies attached to it. Yes, Ohio State has a lot of money. Yes, a lot of motivated boosters can get things done. But there's also part of a lot of people that thinks you can still get this done with this guy because he has been a very successful guy. He's been a successful coach. He has, just not successful in the ways we want. We want, and they talk about, used to compare him to Urban. Well, Urban would screw up and lose that game out at Iowa or out of Purdue. Guess what? That's what you want in this system now. You want the guy that loses that game and wins the big one. This system affords for that. That's what this was designed for. Not the guy that loses the big game and wins all the Northwesterns and Purdues and Iowas of the world. It's a tough spot, man. It's a tough spot to be in. I'm struggling with how, we got this signing class coming up, right? Tomorrow and Thursday and Friday, dudes are signing. We got a home playoff game coming up. I want to be so ramped up and jazzed and excited. And I'm just feeling so melancholy about everything going on right there. And I know that a lot of people are feeling the same way. That's just kind of where I'm at right now.
It's so depressing to give them this much power of how you feel about your enjoyment of college football. But I mean, any Buckeye fan is lying to you if they tell you the reason why they're not excited is because even if we win a national title, Michigan fans are going to be like, won one last year and we beat you. And we beat you this year. And Buckeye fans at this point, I don't think they care. They don't want to argue with Alabama fans. They don't want to argue with Georgia. It was at a point where at the beginning of the Ryan Day tenure, both of us were fans of Buckeye Talk, and we used to listen to Doug Lesmerises talk about this 2024 season and the culmination of this 2021 class and what it was going to be and the dynastic run this team could potentially go on to elevate themselves to the echelons of the Georgia mini dynasty that we just saw, the Nick Saban era type run. And now we're here. It feels like we jumped in the time machine and we're back in the Cooper era. And it's like, we were just talking about becoming a mini dynasty and taking that next step in college football. The team that just beat us isn't even playing in the conference championship. Penn State and Oregon are now competing to win one of Ryan Day's stated goals at the beginning of the season. And it just seems like we are getting further and further away from taking that step forward. And now we're trying to get back in the game. And it's crazy how this has happened due to the rise of Michigan.
It is. And when we talk about that class of 2021, added on to it, added more and more and more. The recruiting has been fantastic. There's no lack of talent in this program. And that's what bothers me so damn much. When we look at the recruiting rankings and the talent composite, and then we look at the transfer portal, being able to pull impact players. We look at a guy like JJ, being able to land him. All these players, man. And people would absolutely kill. Coaches around the country would kill to have Ryan Day's gig. And like our man said there, everybody understands this guy didn't have some super special pedigree. Nothing inherently special about him. He was the guy that was there. He was the guy that was there getting ingrained in the ways of Ohio State, that was calling the plays. He was just lucky, man. It was great timing, great time and place. And that's why when I hear people say, like, you know, who you going to get? I'm like, well, like if his resume is your baseline, like your pool of candidates is huge, because his resume wasn't anything.
Absolutely. You talk about listening to the national media and liking to hear their perspective. I mean, I listened to Bomani Jones talk about Ohio State, and he calls it a want-to school. One of those schools that actually wants to win, and they are going to give the coach, the fans, the university, everything they need to succeed. And Ryan Day is in that position, and they say, and Bomani's argument is Ryan Day is a nobody, and anybody could do what Ryan Day is doing because Ohio State is a want-to school. And it makes me ask the question, if Ryan Day wins the national championship, it would lead me to believe that anyone could win a national championship at Ohio State, because he can't win these big, meaningful games against his rivals and the things that are important at Ohio State, in addition to the common goals that everyone in the sport has. And if you look around, to ask the question, who else would you get? I think you're asking the question incorrectly. The question should be, how many coaches do you think in college football can't win with a $20 million roster? Because asking who else would you get would imply that you feel that Ryan Day adds something intrinsically to this team that no other coach could provide, with $20 million, all of the resources, the best damn fans in the land, the best damn band, 107,000 person stadium. None of that could win without Ryan. Because let me let you guys in on a little secret. There's a lot of people that won here before Ryan Day. So the idea that Ryan Day invented winning at Ohio State, I need you guys to open a book. I know YouTube doesn't go back very far, but you could find some old tape. Ohio State's been winning before Ryan Day got here. So if you think that this started with him, please go to your nearest library, load up YouTube. I don't know what archives you need to go into. I promise you it did not start with him.
That's incredibly well put. It is incredible. And that is the question you should be asking. You know, Ed Orgeron, Les Miles, Gene Chizik, these are national championship winning coaches. Ryan Day's not done that. Those guys are a couple of bozos, three bozos, in fact. They weren't great football coaches, but had great talent or a generational talent in Cam Newton. When we talk about Gene Chizik, you know, it can be done. You can luck into things like that. This guy's not done it when we needed him most. And we needed him most on Saturday, and he was all about himself and his legacy, his shots that people have taken at him. I'm sick. However, we got a playoff game coming up. We're Buckeye fans. I want to win this playoff game. I want to go to this playoff game. You know, it's like I'm wrestling between, gosh, I sure wish this guy would screw up and get the hell out of here. And hell no, man. I want to go see my Buckeyes win, maybe take on the SEC, take on Tennessee, and absolutely pound them, get that 2-13 postseason record against the SEC, start building up on that. Going to take a long time, but hopefully we'll get to match up with them more and more in this new playoff system. And I'm stoked for that, bro. That's the 20th, I think. what's today? December 3rd, 17 days, a little over 2 weeks away. We could be playing Tennessee in the shoe. I think by then we're going to be feeling a whole lot different. What do you think?
Yes. I mean, exactly. We're going to pivot. I have done, I call it the break glass in case of emergency. I've been at the glass holding the hammer for the Fire Ryan Day show. And I feel like I haven't fully committed to it because every year we usually have this moment of, well, not last year, but everybody had the faith that they would be able to get it right, knowing the recruits that they had coming in. But for the most part, Buckeye fans have had to go through this with the Georgia moment. And I keep telling myself, screw this natty, screw these playoffs, blow it up. I don't want to see any more of this. And then I think about that moment right before another kicker ruined my fucking life and missed a field goal against Georgia. I wasn't thinking about the Michigan loss in that moment. All I was thinking about was the chance to play for a national championship. And while it's hard to find that hope and excitement because the wound is still so fresh, at the end of the day, Portnoy, all of these Michigan dweebs are going to be going back to watching Bryce Underwood highlights, and we still have a national championship ahead of you. And I would not suggest arguing back and forth with them. You don't have a leg to stand on. But just shut your mouth and enjoy the rest of your season because it's not over.
That's it.
That's all the advice I have for Buckeye fans. Like, your season is not over. Do you have bragging rights with the team up north? No. Go outside, touch grass, play the game. I don't know what to tell you. Talk to your family, spend time with your kids. Do something, but argue with Michigan fans because you have nothing to say. And honestly, I should be familiar with this feeling because I'm a Duke basketball fan. I watched North Carolina end Coach K's career. What do I got to say? Like, you beat us in the Final Four in Coach K's last game. Like, you got it. Y'all got it now. Like,
you're cooked.
I'm cooked, man. So right now, all I have left is this national championship. And my suggestion to Buckeyes would be argue with fans that aren't Michigan fans because their teams are also still fighting for the same thing as us. They won their second natty to them, beating us in a 7-5 season. I saw someone tweet, I should have said Michigan was going 6-6 because they said 7-5, not knowing that we were going to be that seventh weight.
Pathetic. Ronnie, thanks so much, buddy. Where can we find you?
Appreciate you having me, Juck. You could find me on the Best Damn Media YouTube channel Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Right before this show, I do a show with my guy Q Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. So check us out there. Wednesdays in the Bleacher Report app with Chris Drew. Post games right here with Juck. And then, I do a pregame show with Chris right here on the Menace platform as well on Saturday morning. So check me out there as well.
You guys can check him out in the morning right before you turn this on. Awesome watch. Thank you so much, buddy. We'll talk soon.
Appreciate you having me, Juck.
Thanks, buddy.
So
I like to check. Yeah, and that's my guy, Ron. Always appreciate him coming on. He does a great job on the post-game show with me. He does a great job in the morning at 8 a.m. on the morning roast. So check that out. It's awesome. I don't watch Buckeyes games with my wife. I don't like the questions. She's cool, right? But I just like to be by myself for Buckeyes games, to be quite honest with you. And I was just up in the kitchen a little bit ago, and she said, honey, I saw that one guy. He ripped that flag right out of his hands, talking about Jack. It was really cute. In fact, her mother today gave me a compliment. My mother-in-law, 23 years. I don't know that I've ever gotten a compliment from my mother-in-law, but let me read this to you. She said, I'm so impressed on the way you handle your sports info and discuss that on your TV program. So how about that on my TV program? That's fantastic. We got some big news on Tuesday. If you didn't see, I put out a separate video. Brady Edmonds, a 2027 quarterback, the number 2 quarterback in the country in 2027, has committed to the Buckeyes. Brady is a total stud. He's a unit, 6'5", 215 pounds, 5-star across the board. From California, but his grandpa from Cuyahoga Falls, just north of Akron. And he's been a Buckeye fan all his life, as is his dad, because his dad's from Cuyahoga Falls. So grew up a Buckeye fan. In the 8th grade, he wrote down his goals in life. And number 2 was to be the starting quarterback at Ohio State. He had narrowed down his choices to Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, and Texas. So wants to be in the Midwest, clearly three Midwest schools, and picked the Buckeyes. Now, he's camped over this past summer and the summer of 2023 at Ohio State. So Buckeyes coach is very familiar with him, and he is now committed to the Buckeyes in the class of 2027, which is obviously a very long way away. But when we look at Brady Edmonds, who's the number 2 quarterback in the country in 27, pair him with the other recruit that we got last week, last week, Jameer Brown, the number 1 wide receiver in the class of 2027, that looks pretty nice. And if we go down the quarterback list, we're looking at Julian Sayin, the number 1 quarterback in the class of 24. Then Tavian St. Clair, the number 2 quarterback in the class of 25. No quarterback yet in the class of 2026. They'll probably add a developmental guy at some point. And then the number 2 quarterback in the class of 2027. Quarterback recruiting looking really good. As far as next year, Julian Sayin has the inside track to be the starter. Now, in regards to the transfer portal, we had a transfer enter, and that is Gabe Powers. Gabe Powers, a great linebacker from Marysville, Ohio. He was a high 4-star linebacker when he came in. I thought this year he was going to get some run. I thought we'd see a lot more Gabe. When we have seen Gabe, he's played really well, but not well enough, and or he hasn't gotten the opportunity to play well enough. And he will be entering the transfer portal, which opens December 9th, and that'll run for 30 days. I think 30. But regardless, he will not be on the team, the playoff game. He's done. That's a bummer. You look at the linebacker room next year, Sonny most likely comes back, right? That would be not in his best interest to leave, and he's not in a hurry to leave. So you got Sonny starting at Will. Then you're going to have Arvell Reese starting at Mike. That'll be your starting 2, most likely. Behind them, you've got Peyton Pierce and Garrett Stover. And then you've got your 3 freshmen, hopefully 3 freshmen. We know for sure Eli Lee and Riley Pettijohn are on board. TJ Alford, we know he loves Ohio State. We know he's getting pulled to stay down south in Miami. And we will find out tomorrow what he chooses to do, most likely, if he does end up signing tomorrow. Remember, these guys got Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, so it might string along. As far as our coverage, I'll pop on probably and do a little 5 minutes for some of the more high-profile guys, just a little 5-minute update with some film to refresh everybody about each guy. And I'm really looking forward to it, man. Really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to Brady Edmonds. He's a stud. This kid, if you watch that other video I put out, it's got some of his film. Absolute cannon of an arm, man. A cannon, and a really good dude. This is him with Coach Day. You can see the height there. I mean, just a really tall dude. So that's awesome. But let's go over the class real quick. The class that we expect. And I've got these. Let me pull that banner off real quick. So starting up at the top, you got Tavian St. Clair, then your running backs, Isaiah West and Bo Jackson. Now, can we get Turbo Rogers to join those 2? I think so. I think Turbo is going to choose Ohio State. He decommitted from Alabama. It's probably an Ohio State, Georgia thing, but the Buckeyes have been pursuing way harder, and I think he chooses the Buckeyes. Then we've got wide receiver Quincy Porter, a newly minted 5-star wide receiver. And Quincy was on Flip Watch, but he shut his recruitment down. He's all Buckeye. Joining him, Des Jones, BP Miller, hometown boy, and Phillip Bell. Offensive linemen, we've got Carter Lowe, Jake Cook, and Javon McFadden, who is, I don't believe, any longer on Flip Watch. We're taking him off. Colorado's got other plans. Javon stays home. I love it. No, well, not home. Home with us. At tight end, our boy Keenan Bailey doing a good job with Nate Roberts and hometown boy Brody Lennon. Fantastic duo of tight ends. And corner, we've got Devin Sanchez. Naeem Offord is the coin flip here. You got Jordan Woods, who flipped in the class from Cincinnati, and an offer out to Aiden West, who is committed to Michigan State. Aiden West, a lowly rated prospect, but got a lot of potential. Big kid, 6 foot, and a lot of people really like him. So he is committed to Michigan State. We'll see what happens with Offord. And then if Offord's not in the class, I think West will be. At safety, the number 1 safety in the country by the Juckonbucks rankings, Fahim Delane, to go with St. Ignatius's Cody Haddad, and New Jersey's Deshaun Stewart. Deshaun Stewart, a teammate of wide receiver Des Jones. And those two are quite the duo. Defensive tackle, you've got Trajan Odom out of North Carolina. Maxwell Roy, he is a teammate of running back Isaiah West out of the prep, Philadelphia St. Joe's. And then Jarquez Carter, certainly on flip watch. He is out around the area around Gainesville, Florida, where the University of Florida is, but being heavily pursued by Miami. Defensive end, you no longer have London Merritt or Zahir Mathis. You've got Ziggy Grady, and he is a solid Buckeye. You no longer have Chaz Coleman in the mix. He's didn't come for his visit. And I need to put on, I did a video over the weekend of that. Oh, geez, what's his name? Epi, UCLA commit. He's an edge rusher, and he's the guy that we're trying to get in now to replace either Merritt or Mathis. And I did a video on him if you want to go check that out. It says flip watch. All right, so then at linebacker, we've got TJ Alford, who we've talked about ad nauseum. Everybody knows his situation. I think we end up with him. I thought for a little bit that he was leaning towards Miami. The national guys believe that he's leaning towards Miami. I no longer think so. I think he sticks with us. Eli Lee, our hometown boy from here at Akron-Hoban High School. Riley Pettijohn, total stud from McKinney High School in Texas. Also, by the way, Riley has 2 younger brothers. That's nice. And that is the class of 2025. Now, we will see how many of them end up signing on tomorrow, on Wednesday. And we'll pop in with some updates here and there throughout the day. It's going to be awesome. Now, let's go through a couple of these comments that I was talking about that you guys left on a few of the most recent videos since the game. Mark Standahar says, Bucks lost to a scum offense who had 0 talent on offense, no NFL prospects whatsoever. Disgusting. The offensive line leftovers are way below average. Losing your 2 best offensive linemen to injury on an already suspect position group is too much to overcome, especially with play callers too stubborn to realize that fact and not rely on the team's strengths at wide receiver. You cannot explain the game plan. You absolutely cannot. I would have loved if we would have gotten Chip Kelly at the press conference to, at least attempt to explain what they were doing there. But they started early this year alternating each press conference after the game, one coordinator, defense, and then offense the next game. Last year, they were both after both games, or after all games, both of them. And this year, they've just done away with it totally. Like, they started off alternating, and now we don't hear from any of them. And that is something that I think is poor. I know a lot of people don't care about this. We, as the fan base, that is for us. That's for us to give us information about the team that we support. And I think it's rude to not enforce that your coaches do that. That's just the way I feel about it. Zach Williams says, honestly, if you're a fan looking forward to the playoffs, you're part of the issues. Now, this one, I don't really understand, Zach. I don't really understand. I'm looking forward to the playoffs. I am. This is the Ohio State Buckeyes, man. We're in the playoffs, and I'm going to root for my team, no matter what, no matter who is running the team. I'm going to root for those dudes out there in the scarlet and gray. We're about to have a home playoff game. The country's going to be watching, and it's going to be most likely an SEC team coming up in here to take what's ours, and I'm not going to have that without me involved heavily rooting for the team. So I understand. I think the sentiment you're coming from there, I just disagree. Man. Because ultimately you can voice your displeasure about what's going on or decisions that are made or the coaching staff whatever. You can do that and still support your team. That's my opinion on it. Brian Carr says, how do you talk about this game being the most important thing in your life, then make a game plan as the one you did against the same as the one as you did against Nebraska? A game plan that if Michigan got to choose what we did, they would choose that exact game plan. And once again, not a single play specialized for this game. Not one trick play, not one play just for this game. Under talked about point. That's a good one. Every year we used to talk, just going back to Tressel, we used to talk about, that one play. What was he saving for Michigan? You know what I mean? We always had that. We always had that one play, that one thing that we would bring out, that we would see just for that game. We didn't have that. And the game plan absolutely played to their strengths. It's exactly the game plan they would have wanted us to choose if they had their choice. It's the only way they could have stopped us. That right there. The Ohio Podcast. My buddy Eric Boggs says, Chuck, we're about the same age. My inner child told me not to be too confident about this game because I remember the 90s, but I allowed myself to believe we would win easy. But if I'm being honest, somewhere deep down inside, I knew this would happen. I'm officially a broken fan again. 4 in a row, man. 4 in a row. It's hard to wrap my mind around. It was hard to wrap my mind around 3 in a row. Really difficult. And to hear these comments that we're getting from the other side, we own you and things like this. I mean, it's hard to believe that that's true. But after 4 in a row, I don't, like Ron said, how do you argue? What do you say? Buckeye says, the Cheaters up north are an average team, Juck, but they're playing their best football right now by far. We should have beat them either way. Chip Kelly called a horrible offensive game, and it hurts. Chip Kelly should be ashamed of himself. He should, but at the same time, I feel like when we say that, we're giving the boss man a pass, and he gets no pass from me. Those two sit down together, and they make their game plan up together. Certainly, Ryan Day is involved in this game, no doubt. Maybe not as much for Northwestern. He was involved here, and he gave the sign off on what they were planning on doing. And even if he didn't, if he wanted to pivot away from it, that's his. He can do that. He's allowed to say, "Let's switch this up," and he never did. The Buckeye businessman said, "You lost me as a fan. Your weak-mindedness towards Ryan Day is exactly what's wrong with the team, Juck. Good thing you're not our AD." Well, that sucks. Yenderujic says, everyone needs to relax. If you fire Ryan Day, who are you going to get? Day's not going anywhere, and the people calling for him to be fired are just being emotional and irrational. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. I mean, that is the simple, easy retort, just the blanket response to anybody who says that anywhere in the country about their coach, about in any sport. Who are you going to get? The grass isn't always greener. Very broad-based. There's not much thought into it. Like, I could give you 5 names. I could give you 10. You would say to me, they're nowhere near as successful as Ryan Day. And you'd be right. I would say to you, they haven't gotten the opportunity yet to be as successful as Ryan Day. Ryan Day didn't have the resume they have when he got that opportunity, and it wouldn't matter. We would argue back and forth. So there's really no point. But I don't think it is irrational. I really don't. It just depends what you're willing to accept. I'm not willing to accept this. I'm not. I don't get the choice, though. I'm still going to root for Ryan Day and the team that he coaches because that's my team. Doesn't mean I'm going to be out on my team like some people are out. And that I don't get. I don't get being out on the team. That's our buddy Dylan says, you've just watched one of the lowest moments in Ohio State football program history. Everything that's been said about Ryan Day and his program now validated beyond any doubt, if there was ever any to begin with. Such a fraudulent program. And Dylan said that right after the game. He's had time to calm down, and you guys have heard from him since then. I just happened to have that loaded to talk to him about it when he was on the show. I forgot to pull it up. Landscaper says, I would have more respect for Day if he came out and just said he let the team down and crapped the bed instead of making excuses. And when he brought up the wind in the post-game presser, I was like, man, please don't do that. Nobody wants to hear about the wind, man. JJ says, this we talked about during with Ron. I disagree. We need a new strength coach, new defensive line coach, new special teams coach, and a better offensive line coach. So he wants 33% of the staff fired, out of there. The Rambo says Kirby lost. Oh man, here we go. Kirby lost multiple years before he could get over the hump with Bama. They will get there. We have the most toxic fan base in the country. We are the best at that. I don't do the toxic fan base thing, man. I think if you think that this is the most toxic fan base in the country, and you really believe that, you should go get on a Tennessee message board or an Alabama message board, and you would quickly see, oh no, this is just all college football fans at this level. And we're all the same. There's nothing unique about Ohio State when it comes to that. Nebraska ran Frank Solich out back when they were a power, and they went downhill. And that's a cautionary tale if you think Nebraska is similar to Ohio State. They were at the time. They had been down for a little bit. They ran off a guy who was like Ryan Day, successful, and made some bad hires. A couple of bad hires can put you back 20 years. We saw it at Tennessee. We saw it at Michigan. And that fear is what you weigh when you're talking about getting rid of a coach. Now, the comparison to Kirby, that ship has sailed. Totally sailed. There is nobody who is being honest, who's an Ohio State fan, would say Ryan Day is matched up to Kirby in any way. He's just not. He's not at all. From a soundbite, from a 30-second soundbite to their teams that they coached, it's just not the same. There's nothing close there. Kirby Smart is a 2-time national champion. One of those times he beat Ryan Day on his way to getting it. He's the best, the very best. I'm jealous. DCDH says, Chuck, what do you mean by professionalize the program? I don't like Jim, but from what I remember, he seemed to run Teton like a pro team, not a Saban or Kelly Yeller type. I don't know a ton about how he was behind closed doors. What I mean by that is I just feel like there is so much more, less emotion. When I think of high school football, and you think of the guys and the emotion that you play with. You think of pros and you think of guys just kind of, that's their job. College is in between, and I feel like the Ohio State program under Ryan Day is just more like the pros. This is their job. They go about it in a very smart, intellectual way, how they run the program. And that's very good in some areas. In a lot of areas, I think it takes away from the things we talk about, like the juice and the fire and the things like that come with at the lower levels, or at, other colleges that are kind of on the come up. Sometimes we seem to it's a difficult thing to explain, but I think maybe that explains it better than I explained it the other day. I hope. If not, I'm just at a loss, buddy. Chocolate Chip Hoochie Scoochie says, I'm still peed off, man. Tired of hearing who would we replace Day with, or we'll lose recruits, or recruits are coming. I don't give a darn if these 5-star recruits are not doing a damn thing. Michigan's laughing at us and all the 5 stars, and that's all mostly Buckeye fans care about is 5 stars. Listen, they have told us for years all they care about is recruiting up there. That's all, or down there. They're talking about us. That's all they care about, recruiting. And I laughed at it. And then, really when you take a good hard look at it, we are very into recruiting, and we do love recruiting. What's recruiting? It's for the future. If the players don't get developed, don't play like 5 stars when they put the uniform on. We're looking at the class of 2021. What have they done? It's hard to argue. It's hard to argue, Scooch. I do love some recruiting, though. We're going to get into it quite a bit tomorrow. Swordfish says, Ryan Day is one of the best coaches in college football and a proven winner. OSU fan base is FU. One game does not judge a body of work and Ryan has done for the program. OSU fans are never happy no matter what. Ryan is not going to be fired anytime, and he shouldn't be. He will resign before that happens. We still have a chance to win a natty, and that is more important right now. Right now. Listen, I don't think most people are going to agree with you that is more important right now. In fact, I did a lot of polls before the season started. What would you rather have this year, a national championship or a win in the game? And it was definitely a win in the game that won. And as we moved on throughout the season, that number went up. So more people certainly cared about the game than winning the national championship this year, for the simple fact that you absolutely could not lose 4 in a row. We couldn't let it happen. We couldn't listen to that. And notice I just said 4 in a row. You just said 1 game, right? Big difference there. And it's not just about the games against Michigan. It's a lot more than that. It's a lot about him too. You look at him after that game and towards the end of that game, just looks like a guy that just is incompetent, man. It looked like total incompetence. By the way, the CEO, who's now not calling plays, screwed it up again at the end of the game with timeouts, with 12 men on the field. He screwed it up again. All you got to do is take a course, man. Take a course on how to handle this and then implement it. And he screwed it up again. This is one of the reasons I was fighting back with people in the offseason about Ryan Day. I was saying, no, he's not going to screw it up anymore because now he's not calling plays, see? And part of the reason he gave this up is because he's going to be an assassin with end-of-game management, best in the country. He has not done that, and I look like a fool for standing up for it. Tom Kearns says, the issue of weakness is simply Ryan Day. He is afraid. His demeanor and his coaching in this game shout, I am afraid. It's simply not going to change, so the Buckeyes need to make the change. Andrew adds, too often in a game, he has his mouth agape, wide-eyed, shocked look. That's unprofessional. Expect anything. Be cold. Be serious. Be confident, like Cignetti. Never be shocked by anything and never have the victim mentality. I think those two are spot on. And, when I talk about the demeanor, like Andrew hits on it there in a little bit more detail. It's true. It's true. But my guy Tom there, weakness. He's afraid. His demeanor and his coaching in this game shout, I'm afraid. I think you're right. Tom. You're usually right. Evan Dannemiller says, Day needs to have his salary reduced like Michigan did with Harbaugh when he was losing all those games to OSU. That's a great idea. This guy makes $10 million a year. Slash that in half. The game was thrown with the black. Oh, man. The game was thrown. The Black Sox have returned to Ohio State. It does look sabotaged from within. Yeah, that play calling was certified not rightery. Man, I hadn't thought about that, guys. Mr. Maize and Blue says, not going to lie, you two guys are lame and funny at the same time. Thanks for being our Michigan. Go Blue. I don't know if that's a compliment or I don't know. So anyway, that's all we got, guys. Just wanted to run through those with you. We all got different opinions and that's okay. At the end of the day, as long as we're all on the same side, right? We all want what's best for the team. And except for that last fella, we just have different ideas of how to get there or how that should be done or who should be in charge of that. And that's okay. That's okay. When Tennessee comes up to the shoe, we'll be doing the pregame show and we'll all be on the same page for that. I don't think anybody, even the ones who say that they're going to, are actually going to be able to root against Ohio State because they want a coaching regime change. That game's huge. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. And I can't wait for it, to be honest. I can't wait to get out of this week and just get some distance between myself and that game. They're not going to let us forget, though. I can tell you that. Anyway, appreciate you guys. Talk to you soon. Juckonbucks out.